Well, welcome everybody to the Sports Wrap and George and Ringer. Hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, all that other stuff. I can see.
Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah.
You know, I've had at least 3 calls this week about people that watch us, and it's kind of like, you know, the old days where the 30-second the hour show came on once a week or once ever. They actually watch us. They find us informational and humorous, I guess.
Informational, I can see that. Humorous,
We gotta have a 6th sense of humor. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I think we both go down the same path, kind of, George. So yeah. Well, it was a tough week, George. If you're a Minnesota blank, put the whatever in after that. It was a tough week.
Well,
I was thinking about chopper blades and like running in. Because
the good times ended on Saturday, that's for sure.
Good grief. Yeah, after the Gopher football team got a win, after that it was kind of ugly. So where should we start? I mean, should we start with the bad stuff so we can go to the good stuff?
Well, we can, and you know, I mean, if we're talking about the Gophers, it's not so much that they ran into Illinois and Kofi Cockburn, but you know, we learned a few things. Number one, Robbins is not that bad of a center.
Yeah.
When you go up against Mount Everest and you start picking up early fouls, and as soon as he went out of the game, Kofi had his way with the team.
Yeah, I missed the first part of it. I don't even remember why, but I did, and it doesn't matter. But when I turned it on, it was 18-18, and I'm like, wow, we got a chance. And from the second I turned it on, it was complete and utter embarrassment after that. And I've read the Twitterverse for the last 2 days. Nobody specifically said Patino by name, but everybody referenced that. Oh my gosh, I always go back to this, George, and you were a basketball coach. All the old basketball coaches, I'll put the Jim Rolandos, the Stuart Nordquists, the Bob McDonalds, just fill in whatever.
The guys that used to sit up in the top row and look down on me coaching. Yeah.
And put their name in there. And They always said, you've got to have a play that you can go to that you know is going to give you a good look. Okay? So when I coach basketball, I always tried to live by that. You always had to have a play that, like, okay, the kids know this play very well. If we execute it, we're going to get a look. And if we don't get a look the first time, we're going to run it again. The Gophers don't have that. All they do is they play motion offense. So run around, and if you got a shot, just fire it up there. It's no like, okay, if I get the ball, I'm going to pass it over here. I'm going to run to the corner off on a double screen, and I hope that I get open. There is no play. There's no play. So and
Marcus Carr can't do it by himself.
Well,
and the only thing he's doing is play.
I'm not sure he can. I'm not sure he can do it all together. I don't think he can do it even if he had help, because the way he's played the last few games is abysmal. Is not going to work. I just they come down, they fire up horrible shots. I mean,
they were just incredibly bad.
I just what did they shot 29% for the game?
I guess it was something like that.
The second worst shooting percentage ever?
Yeah, no.
And I'm just like, well, okay. I want to give Illinois maybe that much credit, but I can't give Illinois that much credit. They didn't look. Maybe I'm missing something, and I couldn't.
They actually, when you get a team that's toying with another team, and the only thing they had to do was pass the ball into the paint, and you know, if that's your major offense, they could go to. I mean, he got 33 points. I don't know how many rebounds, but he really, nobody could get around him, and and even Robbins, he has 50 pounds on him, and so
Okay, so we're both basketball coaches. We both understand. Yeah. Okay, so I'll be honest with you. I quit watching it. Did Illinois play man to man? I'm going to assume that they played man to man.
They played man to man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do? You take the guy that Kofi's on, okay, yeah, and you go NBA on him, and you stick him out someplace out by the half court
exactly.
line.
And you could do that with Robbins when he was playing because he's got a pretty good shot.
Okay. Coffey's got to guard somebody unless he's playing a one-man zone, unless he's going to stand in the paint, which is what I would do with him.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a guy that big, I wouldn't move him out. So if they're not playing man-to-man, then you've got to do some things. But you've got to have a zone offense that moves some people around and gives you some open looks. And you got to dribble, penetrate into the creases of the zone and everything else. And it was
nobody played well. And as near as I could figure out,
Here, look on my list. It says right there, awful. It says awful. And it also says it up here by the Vikings. It says awful.
Well, we can get into that in a few minutes, but you're right.
So the Gophers play this murderer's row of Big Ten to start the
the next 8 games. The next 8 games have 7 ranked teams and St. Louis, and St. Louis is not bad.
If they play anything close to what they did on Tuesday,
they're not going to win a game.
They're not going to win a game, and it ain't even going to be close.
Mm-mm.
We a couple weeks ago we were saying, "Geez, how can this team be 11th?" I understand how they can be 11th in the Big Ten.
I know, and we know that now. Yeah, we know that now.
Gabe Kalsher just. You guys already know how I feel about him. Just go put him down on the end of the bench.
Well, and
bring in Mashburn. We know we got the goods there. He's going to have to start playing. You're going to have to start doing some things because this team needs somebody who can shoot. And I don't know who that is. Maybe other than Mashburn but we got guys out there firing up threes that shouldn't be shooting threes that are 6'9", and that's not their job. So they need to stop doing it.
And Booth didn't do anything either.
It doesn't help. So
because these are some of these guys you got to go to and count on to give some support. I don't know who your major go-to guy is on there. It's been Marcus so far, but that's only because he scores all the points. You're not going to win the Big Ten by just having Marcus.
No, but I think I hope that this wakes the boys up. That okay, your poop does stink, and you're not that good, and whatever else you want to put on the end of this, and that they went back to work this week and said, okay, finals are over. We need to get to work, and we better start playing basketball. Or, wow, is it going to be? There ain't even going to be NIT at the end of this.
And the schedule that they have over the course of the next 10 days is as tough a schedule as anywhere in the country. And they had to see this coming. And in fact, I think Patino did, make some suggestions to the scheduling people that this was just a little bit nuts.
So is there one game in that list that they can win? And if I want to back that up. I want to take that back because I don't think they're going to win it. Got to take St. Louis out of the equation. Is there any of the Big Ten games that they could possibly upset? And if so, who is that going to be against?
Not if they play anywhere near they play.
I'm saying let's throw the Tuesday game. Let's try to forget Illinois. Let's pretend that it didn't happen. We got our butts handed to us, and now we're going to move on. Is there one of those games that they can win? And against who? Maybe. How about Ohio State? Ohio
State might be one. I don't know where Indiana's at right now. They've been kind of sick. And besides, like you said, the number one opponent here is going to be COVID.
Yeah, could be. Very well could be.
The way it is for basketball, too.
Absolutely.
But like you say, I know how it felt. I went upstairs and I could hear my wife moan down here. She does not like a poor defense and no rebounds.
Oh,
wow. My Lord, they couldn't get anything done.
So, the Gopher women's basketball team didn't fare much better. They're playing
actually worse.
Okay, I wanted to say that, but I thought, I'll try to be nice. But you nailed it, George. I got to give you.
No, and I don't know how many games they're going to win between now and the end of the year. And you know, and we know this because the Big Ten's that good. They are that tough. Somebody's going to have somebody somewhere to hurt you. Now, I'm not so sure that somebody with a sprained ankle or their star point guard pulls in the Williams Arena, the Gophers might not be able to clip them off. That's the way the Big Ten works as well. Yeah. But right now, if you've got a dominant man in the paint, and we only have one true center, and we really don't have any because he's 7 feet tall, but he's not a center. He's more of a four-man.
Well, you know, and I think even he learned, you know, Liam learned some lessons about the fouling and the things, and he's got to be right. He's got to be on target. He has to learn that he can't get into foul trouble.
No, and he's gotten into foul trouble all year long. But Kofi was leaning into him so much. In fact, he picked up all those fouls because he knows what he wants to do when he has the ball. And he gets that lean-in foul, and he picked up the first one that way. The second one was kind of a reach-in type on the floor type deal. I'm not sure where that one came from. And, of course, Patino says, you got to sit for the half. Well, you got to sit for the half, and you're going to Kofi run around the court. It might not be a second half that's coming around.
I don't know if it was Dan Dockish from ESPN was doing that game or he was doing another game, but he basically went off about what's this deal that if you get 2 fouls in the first half, you have to sit out the whole first half. And I agree with him. Hey, go sit down, collect your thoughts, think about what you got to do, and then get your butt back out on the floor. And if you pick up your third one, well, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So, you know,
Well, Bob McDonald, and I took all my cues from the great Bob McDonald, and he had 2 you were going to sit. On the other hand, he might have had somebody to come in that was right behind that player to pick it up. On the other hand, I've seen him put him back in after a couple of minutes because the guy he just sat down was the star.
And I think the other thing is, you know, we always talk about timeouts. Some coaches don't want to call the timeouts in the first half because they want to save them in case they're in it at the end of the game. Well, if you're out down by 40 points, it ain't going to matter how many timeouts you have. You better start calling those timeouts in the first half.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I agree. So yeah, enough badgering the Gopher, no pun intended with Wisconsin. Enough going after the Gopher basketball team.
I got one question about college basketball. As long as we're out here, I know that Gonzaga is playing on Saturday.
Okay.
Somewhere, and
I have no idea.
I think they're playing number 2. Where's Baylor these days? And
they're supposed to be playing. They were supposed to play Baylor. I think the day
I think Baylor and Gonzaga are going to play on Saturday, which you know, Saturday day
could be fun.
We get a couple more TVs.
You'd have to go to a bar to accomplish that, George, and you're not allowed.
They can't go to the bar.
I want to talk about Keontae Johnson from
Let's
Florida.
talk about the Keontae Johnson.
How scary. You know, I went all Hank Gathers. As soon as I saw the video, I'm like, oh my gosh. When he went face down and man, I can't help but think about the poor kid, and it sounds like whatever they're doing for him in the hospital, they're getting it fixed because he's talking to his teammates now. But that was a scary deal.
Well, it was scary, and nobody was telling us anything. Finally, where I got the word was his dad came on, and they had him, and they says, no, he's breathing, and we just got done talking to him, and then you know he was going to be all right. Oh, I don't know. Have they come to any conclusion what put him there?
Oh, that's maybe the scarier thing that they, you know, this happened, 5 days ago, and they aren't saying what's going on. And I suspect that they don't want to jump the gun and go, you know, and be wrong. And so.
Well, he's in a very good place.
Yeah, let's hope that things pan out for him. It might be one of those things that he never gets to play basketball again. Let's hope not. That isn't the decision, but that's very possible. Yeah. When those kinds of things happen. So.
Oh, it is, sure. And then keep in mind, Pistol Pete Maravich had a heart deformity, all this that he didn't know about. And what was he? 40, 39, 40 when he?
Yeah, 40. It seemed like he was 42 or something like that.
Yeah, he was very young and just a remarkable, one of my favorite all-time basketball players. But you just don't know. And some of these guys, you figure, geez, professional athletes are really good shape and all the rest of that. listen, I maybe it's part of when your time comes. Your time comes. You have to thank those relatives from 10,000 years ago for being as tough as they were, because that's where it came, and that's kind of the way that works.
You want to talk about Tara Vanderveer for a few moments?
Yes, go ahead. That's fine.
Well, anybody who gets to 1,999, I was going to say 1099, but I'm in my classroom. I got to talk correctly.
Yeah.
When you get to 1,099 wins,
that's a lot of wins.
I don't care how many games you play a year.
No.
And they play close to 40. When you get to almost 1,100 wins, that's a pretty remarkable number. She passed Pat Summit, excuse me.
Pat Summit.
And got to the level. But did you see who's right behind her?
Who's that?
Gino's got 1093. Gino Oriema's got 1093.
Yeah, we can talk about him in a few minutes. He's got a basketball player I'm interested in.
He's only 6 behind her. So Stanford, is going to win their share of games. Yes. Connecticut's going to definitely win their share of games.
They sure are.
And so it's going to be interesting to see. It's going to kind of be like the Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and then going back on who's got the touchdown record week to week. It's going to change, but congratulations. Like I said, anybody who can stick in it that long to win that many games and then wins that many, and it maybe puts into perspective the number of games that Bob McDonald won, because they play less games in high school, to think about how long that he did it. So kind of keeps things in perspective.
Well, I had an old wrestling coach tell me one time upon his retirement, he says, a wrestling coach, every time you lose, it takes a little piece out of you. He says, after a while, you don't have many pieces left. And I was able to, that was Roger Nelson in Virginia. He says, you just kind of run out of pieces. And I think that's what coaches, guys like Bob McDonald and Pat Summit and all of them, they got lots of pieces. Those are people that suffer from serious character. They just have a lot of it, and it forces them to do remarkable things.
It does.
Yes.
So, geez, I had a thought while we were talking there, and I lost it.
Well, as long as we were, let's see if I can find my notes here. As long as we were talking, I wanted to talk about, and we got into UConn. Pat Bokers.
Oh yes, that's where we were supposed to go.
She ripped it for 17 on her initial game, 9 boards, 5 assists, totally dismantled UMass Lowell. Okay, so last year's national, in case anybody doesn't know, that's National High School Player of the Year. You know what she did? You know what really impressed me? In the time that she was there, she had 5 steals. So she's playing defense. And
she, she's about 5'11". And so she's playing on the perimeter, and she's very athletic. She's very good.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
So I as long as we start talking about Paige, that brings up another person that I have a connection with. Last year, she played and beat. Well, I think it's Wyzetta and Hopkins, right? She was at Hopkins.
She was at Hopkins.
A girl that I know of who was at Wyzetta, her name is Mara Braun. And Mara this week signed with the Gophers.
All right.
She made the decision. And her dad and my older sister were classmates. So I have a connection to Mara. And so I contacted Chris, the dad, last week, and I congratulated him on his daughter staying home, which, of course, is a big deal to me. And he said...
Yeah, you like that.
He said, do you think you'd like to have her on your little sports show that you do?
Oh, really?
And I'm like, well, I would love to have her on, but I don't think she probably would want to be on our little show. And he goes, oh no, she would do it. She would come on. She needs all the practice that she can get. And I'm like, so maybe over Christmas, when we do our over Christmas show, maybe before she gets busy with basketball again, maybe we'll have Mara Braun on, and we'll talk about making a decision to go to the Gophers and whatever else. So that would be fun. We don't get to do guests, and of course she lives in the cities, and now that we're doing this via Zoom, we'd have an opportunity. So Mara, I'm hoping we might get an opportunity to chat.
Oh, hey, nice move there, Tim. Nice move. I like that.
So where are we going to go next? Or are we not done with college basketball yet?
After I got Gonzaga and Baylor down and reaffirmed that in your eyes, there is going to be so many basketball games, and it's starting, I think, even tonight. But tomorrow and Saturday, the games are just going to fly.
I don't even try to imagine that I can keep up.
When I take a look at the football games this weekend, it's close to scary.
Let's leave college football till the end.
We can.
Let's finish on that. I just want to mention college hockey, if I might.
Yes,
the
I
Bulldogs
wanted you
were
to.
playing very, 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 very well, and then they laid an egg on Sunday. I think maybe they ran out of legs. Scott Sandlin might have overthought things a little bit, and he put a couple of new kids in, maybe because they were short legs, but maybe that, Colorado College, they're not very good. We'll get some of these young kids in, and they didn't play very well, and they lost to Omaha in a shootout last night or yesterday afternoon. So a little disappointment there. So the Bulldogs had the number one ranking, not that means Jack Doodley squat in December, but they had the number one ranking in their hands. And then they let it go to the Gophers, which really, really
bothered you
for this person. Dang. But the Gophers got a nice season going. They're undefeated, and let them have their happy time here in December. And then when March and April roll around, we'll see where the Gophers are sitting.
Well, and the thing of it is that I used to love these rivalry games.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any. And and unless they make it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
There's a possibility because, Denver's playing well, Colorado's playing well, North Dakota's playing well, Omaha, they're all playing good hockey.
St. Cloud State's playing pretty well. North Dakota State and St. Cloud State North Dakota and St. Cloud State played last night, and that was a whiz-banger of a game as well. So, this pod has been good for a college hockey fan, that they can basically turn on the TV 6 days a week just about any time, and they can go, hey, there's a team that we get to know about. So it's kind of nice to have that opportunity.
On top of that, a lot of those teams are a lot closer to us than, say, Penn State. I really don't know who plays hockey for Penn State.
That's true.
I expect you don't either.
Yeah, exactly.
But we can pick out a few from North Dakota. We know somebody from. There's so much attachment here in Minnesota to everybody. So it's
sure.
So
the pod ends on Friday tomorrow. Let's see, this weekend, I think. And like I said, the Bulldogs play North Dakota one more time, which should be worth the price of admission in a little time.
All the time.
And so hopefully we'll get to see that. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's about it. How about the Cleveland Indians? What do you think of their decision?
It's one of the things about baseball movies. I love Moneyball and I like Major League. And I like watching Major League because they have a great big shot of Indians Stadium, Memorial Stadium, and it's right on the coast of Lake Erie. And as you can see that, you can see a break wall out there. And it was at that break wall that I passed my able seaman's license in a lifeboat right out there. So I look at that and I think, oh, the break wall's still there.
Yeah.
And it's so I watched that, but and Bob Euchre's in it, and he is utterly fantastic. But when they say, they hit that one off the reservation, well, there's no reservation there.
Yeah.
And then, outside the fact that Chief Bender played for him.
Correct. Yes.
The
history lessons abound on this show.
Well, I did promote him, but the thing of it is that he never liked the name Chief when he was doing it, but he agreed to have it carved on his tombstone. I think he's in Philadelphia or someplace.
Okay.
But he's carved on his tombstone there. So, no, it was time for them to change, and it's time for all of us to take a deep look at this. I mean, why should we have a football team named Redskins? I mean, if I find that offensive for any colored skin.
Sure.
You just don't do that.
So where do we? Let's get controversial. So where do we sit on the Kansas City Chiefs? Because they basically have said they're not going to change their name.
Yeah, the Redskins said that a few years ago too, and it's one of those things where, it's like team says Warriors. Well, there were a lot of different kind of warriors. And, and so, that can be dependent. On the other hand, Deer River has sporting team. What's their nickname?
Warriors.
And
War Road, same thing.
The fact is, about half their athletes are Native American on any given year,
Sure.
maybe more. And so, you see that. And so it does get complicated. There's no two ways about it. On the other hand, Carolina Coastal Chanticleers. Now that doesn't offend anybody.
You answered that question very well. I put you on the spot. You did a dang good job, and then you somehow brought Coastal Carolina in. I don't know how you did that, but you did. My goodness. So
yeah, there's no end to it, is there?
So does that mean you want to move to college football, or you want to talk about pro football first?
Liz, I got a few things to say about pro football. Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to finish the Cleveland thing. They're waiting a whole year to do it right, and I'm okay with that, I think, so that they can get all their merchandise, because it's all about the almighty dollar. They don't want to be sitting for a year not having people with the right emblems on their hats, whatever they decide to go to. They want to make sure they've got everything made, color scheme, the whole 9 yards. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. It's one of those things that, same thing for Washington, the former Redskins. I can't wait to see what name they come up with. The Edmonton Eskimos in the CFL. I can't wait to see what name they come up with, because it's like I said, it's just this is like the Kraken for Seattle. What name? And because
I like the Kraken. That is because the Kraken's he's not going to be offended.
Yeah, 20, 30 years ago, the names were were pretty small. Heck, we've opened up the names. So I can't wait to see what Washington and Cleveland and these teams come up with to change, because the world is their oyster, as they say. They can go just about any possible way, And of course, somebody out there suggested the Cleveland Rockers, and to me that just
Well, I would say the Cleveland Lakers, but that thing's already taken. So it's
in a place that has no lakes. Somebody said. What?
Yeah. So they'll come up with something. They're going to be. I'm curious as to what Washington's going to do, because and I don't want to hit this cheese too hard, but I think the name really does give the team an identity.
Yeah.
There is no doubt, if you're a Minnesota Vikings, who you are. There's this is so there. I think that's it. Anybody have any problem with the New York Yankees? Well, no, unless you happen to live in Southern Georgia and don't like Yankees very much, or anywhere else.
Sure.
Yeah. So names are critical, and it's how they come out. I would have just assumed International Falls Broncos was spelled with a K, but
too much humility there from our man.
He would not have liked it. No.
That's good. It's tough. It's tough to be.
Okay, just a couple of other NFL things.
All right, lay them on me.
I wanted to go over just a couple of things that I picked up out of the news about how the Vikings lost to Tampa Bay. Number one, they rushed 3 people against Tom Brady when it's 3rd and 4. Now, I'm no genius about football, but I wouldn't have done that. I would have lined up 2 good rushers and 2 more from the middle and maybe a linebacker. He picked those guys apart.
But we don't even have one good rusher, George.
No, I know.
That is the one thing this team is missing is anybody who can rush the passer. And it's the scarier part about that, George, is in the NFL when it's 3rd and probably 9, 12, by God, they're probably going to throw the ball. Heck, even at 3rd and 6, they're probably going to throw the ball. So, pin that ear back, as they say, and get your butt after the quarterback. We can't get any pressure. Tom Brady could have went back there, lit a cigarette, threw some meat on the barbecue, flipped it over, whatever, and then threw the ball behind. There was no rush. And it's just
Are you telling me he did not look 43 years old? He didn't look.
It's painful. And of course,
hey, listen. They had the ball 2 minutes. 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the first quarter.
Yeah.
That's it. And the total game, 21 minutes, a little bit less. And so what else could the Vikings do? Well, there was continual mistakes. There was false starts, a bad personal foul, and missed kicks and missed kicks and missed kicks. I mean, the kick situation, but it wasn't the only thing there.
And can I say a back judge who didn't want to see the Vikings win? He threw the penalty flag on Harrison Smith.
Yes.
For a shoulder hit, which I still don't get. I mean, did Harrison pee in somebody's Wheaties in the NFL office? What did he do to tick somebody off? He can't hit anybody. If it's a hard hit, he's getting a flag. And then the flag on the Hail Mary before the half. They said that's the first penalty on a Hail Mary in over 12 seasons. Now I'm not saying that the Vikings players weren't all over our boy Gronk.
Oh no, I'm just saying.
But
we have to count those penalties, and those are mistakes. And when you have mistakes against,
but should they have been mistakes? Would our boy Antoine Winfield gotten called for a hit like Harrison Smith put on that guy? Heck no. Would he have gotten called for a pass interference call like the one that got Gronk? No. So I'm saying, and it's sour grapes, you better believe it, but the NFL wants Tom Brady in the playoffs.
Yes.
So what do? You make sure that he gets a few calls to make sure that he's in there. And I don't like to be sounding like sour grapes, but that penalty on Harrison was a crucial timing for that one.
It was.
And of course the field goal right before halftime on the pass interference call, that was huge as well.
And also, I'll feel a whole lot better when you have Hendricks back there. It's
getting Kendricks back is everything.
And everything. Yeah. No, he's anyway.
Are we gonna bash Dan Bailey?
Well, or
has he been bashed enough?
Number one, they got to find somebody that's better. And they took a guy off the practice squad, and they kept him up for a whole day. And then they
cut him, right?
They cut him. Yeah, okay. So you're shaking your head, holding your head on that one. They cut him.
Okay. So,
I'm not sure what they're going to do. And keep in mind, 2 years ago, Bailey was one of the top kickers in the league.
Well, they're everybody's bringing up Dan Carlson. Oh, blah, blah, he's kicking so well for such and such a team. And this has got to be Zimmer's fault. And I'm like, how on God's green earth can this be? Have you ever seen Zimmer talk to Bailey? I've never even seen him go close to him. Okay? No. This is like a goaltender. You just let him go sit over in the corner. That's what you do with your kicker. You don't talk to him. You don't whatever him. Okay? And whatever else. And now Bailey's got the Chuck Knoblauchs. And we're going to find these people out there blaming it on Zimmer. Look what Zimmer did to Carlson. And look what Zimmer did to, what's his name, the guy who missed against Seattle. I can't even. And it's just like, you're going to blame this on Zimmer? He's missed 7 kicks.
No, this is not Zimmer's fault. No.
I don't understand how this.
If he ever lost his job in the Vikings, you know how long it would be before he got another head coach's job? If he wanted one?
Yeah.
Okay, I just a couple of other things.
Yep. Let's get me out of this, George.
Yeah, number one, Frank Ragnow, the center for Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
He's from Chanhassen, right?
Yeah.
He's 6'7". He weighs about 290 pounds. He's a great big guy. Well, he had an injured larynx. And so he pulled him out of the half of the Packer game because I watch him all the time, and all of a sudden he was gone. Well, he took a shot to the throat, which is really, really rare. And my connections down in the valley tell me that he can eat and he's going to be fine. He can't speak. They do not want him to talk, which some guys would say he's a lineman. They shouldn't talk anyway. But I was talking to a friend of mine down there. He says, Big Frank is this monster. He's this giant. He's just incredible on the field and the nicest, easiest guy that you'd ever want to go fishing with. Oh. And so he that's how I want. I says, well, I'll bring Ragnow into this. Now, John Hurt.
Jalen Hurts?
Jalen Hurt. He went into to New Orleans, beat the heck out of the Saints.
Despite his efforts, I guess he ran the ball, but
he threw the ball for 167 and 1 TD and 106 yards and 18 carries.
Yeah, I guess we're going to end up talking about Lamar Jackson at some point. I have a feeling. I guess if you got a quarterback who can run for 106, or what did Lamar run for the other night? 100 billion by the time the game got done. I guess if you want to risk your franchise quarterback, and God, I'm sick and tired of hearing about we've got to protect our franchise quarterback.
Hey, it might have been. Was that one heck of a football game?
I'll be honest with you, George. I watched about 8 plays of that whole game.
Oh, it was all over again.
I have no desire to watch our good friend Mr. Mayfield.
You don't like it, but that's what you would have liked
Cleveland
this game
is
because
on, Tim's not watching probably. I refuse.
There it was. Quarterback goes down with the cramps. What did I put down?
Is that really what it was? Do you think?
Well, the way they
that's what they say.
The way that he was hobbling into the.
You know what it looked like to me, George?
Yeah, looked like he was in pretty bad shape.
It looked like to me like he had to go potty really bad.
Well, that one leg was.
I think he had to go potty really bad.
Anyway.
They might have kept him in the locker room.
The end of the game went like this, something like this. Jackson goes down with leg cramps. Trace McSorley takes over and is playing well until he goes down with a knee injury. Lamar Jackson sitting inside the dressing room takes a look on this on the TV and says, "Ha, they need me." And pretty soon,
here comes Willis Reed out of the locker room, right?
3 and out, and here he comes to the roar of no crowd. And then he goes about and finishes the game, but it was like you got it all. You've got a great game. You've got evil. You've got good. You've got injury. You've got comeback. It was just a classic football game.
So George, I have to say, when I saw him kick the winning field goal, which was a pretty dandy field goal to go up 45-42, and then they flashed up the final score 47-42, and I'm like, how the heck did they get a safety? Well, finally, ESPN, after a day and a half, I finally saw the safety. Good grief! That looked like pony league football. Something out of that was pretty.
It might have been. I was sitting on the edge of my chair, laughing and roaring right to the end of it. And when he came out in the field, I knew that he was going to bring his team onward to victory. Now, another guy, Hasten Riddick. 5 sacks in 1 game, and he caused 3
fumbles.
And we caught 3 fumbles.
It caused 3 fumbles, which I think is
harder.
This
is a career type deal, and it's people are saying it's the offense, not the defense. Well, you gotta wonder about that. And Hasten Riddick, I'll tell you, I'd have him on my team, and then of course my good friend Derrick Henry. 4 games in a row, he's gone over 200 yards and had 2 touchdowns. 4 games in a row. So that's 8, almost 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. He's the only ones that have been able to do this are names like Brown, Sanders. I mean, these types of guys, all these Hall of Fame.
I know those names, George.
Yeah, they're all strange names. And of course, he's from Jacksonville. And then he went down and really put a thumping. But if I had to have a running back right now, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, it'd have to be that incredible man. He is really a thumper.
He is a thumper. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him on my team.
Yeah, you'd play him.
That'd be okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind Delvin Cook. And, of course, that's going to bring up the whole whatever if he can keep his nose pointed in the right direction this week against the Chicago Bears and Mr. Hicks and and everything else because he's going to be focused enough to do what he's supposed to do.
This Chicago Bears game spells the whole deal for both teams. This is a very important game, and I want to tell you, the very first game the Vikings ever played was against the Chicago Bears, kicked their butt, and I suspect that they'll do that again on Sunday.
Wow.
Boy, that's some serious pontificating.
The Vikings have not played well at home. Let's hope that they can turn the tide. How about the Ravens and the Browns having 9 rushing touchdowns in that game? In
Isn't that
2020,
yes,
there were 9 touchdowns rushed for. How is it possible that nobody's done that since 1921 or 22? How is that
I was kind of surprised too. And when you take a look at the statistics, you know, I mean, he just didn't get that many passes off, and he was, you know, he did a nice job.
Scary stuff.
Won the game.
Anything else? The NFL?
No, I tell you, that's going to become interesting. And you know, the Vikings play the Bears on Sunday, and then Christmas Day, I believe, they play New Orleans. So that should
do a little praying for him.
See what happens. No,
maybe there'll be a Christmas miracle.
You know what it means to miss New Orleans.
Yeah.
So,
are we ready to move on to college football?
Let's give it a try. Do you want to do just a little bit of National Signing Day?
We could do a little bit of that. Yeah, I've got it written down here.
Do you?
I didn't write anything down other than that we probably should discuss it. And boy, it's just kind of an interesting little thing. The Gophers got 17 scholarship players. They had one more that has yet to decide whether or not, and that would be Avante Dickerson. And Avante seems to be a pretty smart boy. He's not going to make up his mind till the actual signing day, and he's got teams. I don't know if you heard LSU, Oklahoma, the rest of them. The signing day thing is exciting. It brings college football to the forefront. The problem with it is they can transfer so quickly that before it meant, hey, we got this guy for 5 years. We'll redshirt him and blah blah blah. Now it's just like, oh, the coach looked at me wrong. I'm leaving. See you later.
There's one of the guys, and the reason I called down to the cities today, Devin Eastern's his name.
Yeah.
He's 6'6", 280.
He's got an easy name to remember.
He is a name to remember, and I'll tell you. And my boy told me, hey, a year ago you never would expect that he was going to get a D1 scholarship, and he went and lived in the weight room, and he says, George, and he takes off his shirt and makes every man want to just go, oh, what is that? He is really an incredible athlete, and I'll tell you that. He's got a deep personal story. This kid come from nothing. In fact, he's going to graduate from an alternative school.
Okay.
So he's come from poverty. He knows the whole thing about life. And so when people tell you, football is just a game, well, he says, well, you tell him, I know about Devin Eastern. It's not just a game to him. And so I'm really pulling. Devin, I really am pulling for you. And then let's see here. There was another kid. Yeah, Logan Purcell. He's 6'7", 245. He's going to be an offensive tackle. He's from Annandale. And he's
Cardinals.
What?
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals from Annandale. But they see that 6'7", 245. What makes you think he won't put on about 50 more pounds? And he's going to be just one of those incredible athletes at 6'7". And then, my friend told me, he says, the walk-on. There's 2 walk-ons, and one is Eli Mao. And Eli Mao is from Chanhassen. Of course, I talked to the guy from Mississippi, Minnesota thing. He's the preferred walk-on. He's a 6'2", 225-pound linebacker. He is one of those incredible linebackers that can really, really go, like a 4.45 540 and all the rest of that. And he's just a really nice athlete. He says on top of that, his mom and dad and he says, I had lunch with him one time. They sit down. They're the nicest people you're ever going to meet. And so he's one of those kids that no, I grow up to be a Gopher. I want to walk on, whatever it takes for me to be part of that team. and apparently they have the wherewithal to be able to do that. And so Eli Mao and Logan Purcell and Devin Eastern, those are Minnesota boys, and I think they're going to do real well. Now, there's one other D1 team that we have to consider.
Do we have to consider St. Thomas? Do we really have to?
They got 27 kids the first time, and I only bring this up because they picked out some pretty good kids. And I tell you this, Tim, it doesn't make much difference now this year, the next year. After that, you're going to talk to a kid that has a $50,000 education that is, I mean, they can't give out scholarships there, but they give out academic scholarships. A very few poor kids ever pay the full amount to go to St. Thomas or St. John's or any private schools. And so I'm sure that they're going to find these kids that are going to qualify for something, and they're going to be taken care of. But I think that they're in there. They're getting a lot of people from Minnesota. They're getting a lot of people from let's see here, where are they coming from? Sacred Heart Griffin, and we've got Champlain Park, and a whole 2 or 3 from Totino Grace. So they're going.
I think it's great for Minnesota football. The high school kids are going to get a bigger opportunity. The teams that are going to get hurt by this: North Dakota State, North Dakota, South Dakota State, and South Dakota, because those are players that
they all came from Minnesota.
That were kind of tweeners that went to play at the FCS or at the FCS, and now they're technically in the FBS. So it's going to be different. But this will just make more opportunities for those Minnesota kids. So I look at it as a positive, and I don't mean anything derogatory towards St. Thomas. I just I don't either. We know some people out there that watch this show that are big St. Thomas fans. So
they are indeed.
Yeah. We got to make sure we give them a little jab. So.
Oh no, and besides, I get along better with them than I do with St. John's. So
we got to talk about your Black Knights. I'm bursting
right now. Here we are.
Let's do it.
Okay, listen.
What the heck?
The Black Knights played in the Black Fog field. It's a remarkable football field, named after one of the first black players to ever play football. In college, and Mikey is an amazing place. 1943, Navy shut out Army 13-0, and I put this down. But the mule tenders took control in the fourth quarter, and the thick infiltrated fog shut out the goat keepers 15-0. How's that for a headline in a paper? But the key is Army's defense was really amazing. 4 first downs for Navy.
Wow.
And when you do that on a ball control type thing, you are not going to lose that game. And so, again, defense might not win all the championships, but they'll do until something comes around. They really played well. And so, the
only bad thing about this, George, is that you weren't at an establishment with your Navy buddies and able to really grow.
Oh, there ain't nothing like watching sailors and Marines cry. There really is nothing. And and so they give me a lot of grief because, of course, I was in the Merchant Marine, but my son was in the Army, so and most of the guys that I followed from World War II were Army people. But I love those Navy guys. I love those Marines, especially after Army beats Navy. It's a fit-in thing. I did notice. I took a look at some pictures of the offensive line of the Navy. They were all going to the Marine Corps, every one of them, and they were and Marine Corps infantry. Navy football draws that type of man. But that game is really an amazing game, even in the fog.
I thought a microcosm was when Navy quarterback meandered his way all the way down to about the 1.5 yard line, wherever he got,
and they shut him down,
and they couldn't score. And I'm like,
they couldn't score.
Wow, if you can, Navy needed 1.5 yards or whatever it was to get in 4 plays, and I'm like, well, they're going to score. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah,
and for them not to score that was a wow moment. for sure.
Well, yeah, and the score was 15-0, and the game was a lot closer than that.
Yes, yeah,
It's,
for sure.
you know, so I can't wait till next year. Now, Army and Air Force play on Saturday
Okay.
for the the Commander in Chief trophy that goes to the best service team. And I'll tell you, this is going to be a dandy. Air Force has got a pretty good team, and they don't do it too often, but they can throw the ball.
Okay.
And so it should be, the fog. I tried to take statistics. I even tried to watch the numbers for a while, and it was really tough to do. And then so I got rid of that game, and I thought, well, maybe we shouldn't see that anymore. So I got LSU down to Florida. And
what was that kid thinking?
I don't know what
Oh my gosh!
It's just you take a look at that.
I hadn't probably watched a play in that game, and I turned it over there, and it's that series where he throws the shoe. It was like second down, and then it's 3rd and 7, and the quarterback throws that little dink pass that's not long enough to get a first down, and he gets tackled, and I'm about ready to yell at the TV, and here comes the flags in, and I'm like, what happened? What happened? And, they only could show you the game. Good thing they got that camera suspended from the bowl.
You wouldn't be able to see.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to watch the game. And that kid chucks that shoe, and I'm just like, what the heck? But it was, yeah.
No, but the game really had everything. Literally, they threw the game away. And York, he's the guy that connected on the 57-yard field goal, and I swear when he kicked it, he couldn't see that sucker go through the goalpost.
No,
it was that thick.
Yep.
And 23 seconds left, and if people don't realize it or not, that changed the whole football outlook for the rest of the year.
It did. Well, Florida's got 2 losses and took them out of anything that they wanted to say or talk about. They lost it right there. So
yeah,
come on, we got to talk about the Gophers now, right?
Okay, let's go this. I just want to bring up this one thing about the Gophers. On Saturday, they were shorthanded. They had 23 out due to COVID and 10 injuries. The offensive line was patched together after losing the right side of the line to Curtis Dunlap and Big Dan Falele at the tackle. With the loss of those two, the Gophers have had to completely rebuild the line. But that seems to me, Tim, that they've been doing this for a long time. They've always shuffled those guys. They've always, who's your starting 5? Well, these 7, and so he's always been able to do that. So we'll see if they can do that on Saturday. But I'll tell you this, the offensive line and the defensive line are going to have to perform well. And like the key and the one key on Saturday was our quarterback was better than their quarterback. And just those.
I've never been a Martinez fan. I've never understood the allure, the whatever he is. I've never seen it. I've never understood. So, beating Nebraska is a great thing.
It is.
And I may have said this before, but I'll say it again. When I went down and watched, when I was the manager with the Gopher football team 30 years ago in 1990. And they beat the Gophers 56-0, and they probably were 56 points better than the Gophers, but they thumped them pretty good. And I'm like, it'll all come back someday.
It all comes back, and and when you see that and you're young, I know you can't see that, but it does.
Yeah.
And I know my gold coach Butch Larson. He had no trouble when they played Nebraska. They kicked their butt. So it'll go back there somewhere.
How about our boy Mo, or our man Mo, getting named running back of the conference for the year?
Well, I think he deserved it. He come in and he's playing really, really good football, and he's got a couple of other backups, Potts and the rest of those, to give him a little break. And as long as you can shuffle those running backs in, he seems to have plenty.
So
and Seth Green, I mean, he's in there still banging away.
So what do you think about them bringing Ibrahim back in after he looked like he was nicked, hurt? Maybe we got to go there. Do you think Mo said, "Get me out on the field, I'm going to finish this thing," or do you think
he's a pretty tough guy?
Huh?
He's a pretty tough guy.
He's a pretty tough guy, but do you put somebody, it's kind of frowned upon when you put somebody back out there who's injured. And I don't know that he's injured. I'm just saying.
But he just might have been dinged. But I've put players on the field that were dinged. So have you.
Yeah, but we aren't supposed to be doing that anymore. This is 2020. When we did that, it had a 19 in front of it. Okay, so what do you think of his slide at the end of the game?
Oh, I thought the slide was a man with his head on his shoulders. He won the game.
Stick that son of a gun right in the end zone. Make it 31-17. I don't.
Yeah.
They weren't going to score 2 touchdowns. Stick it in.
I'm not saying I could have done it, but I understand why he did do it. But it's
stick it in the end zone and score.
And the thing of it is that he's leading the nation in touchdowns. If he would have scored that one, he'd have popped him up one. Yeah. So it either says something about his character or
he was smart. He was smart. He made the right choice. But
he made the right choice.
Just stick anyway. How about this weekend?
What? The weekend is the weekend. I tell you what, this is the way it looks to me. On Saturday, Minnesota and Wisconsin play at 2. The Conference USA game between UAB and that's Alabama, Birmingham, and Marshall at 6. Buffalo versus Ball State in the MAC. Pac-12, Washington and Southern Cal, your favorite. Saturday, those games are on Friday. On Saturday, you got the Big Ten Championship at 11, Northwestern and Ohio State. I think it's going to be a good one.
And I think so. I don't. I think it's going to be by the end of the middle of the second quarter, it's going to be 28-7, and it's over. But I hope you're right.
I tell you, there are some leaks in that Ohio State lineup, and I'm talking mostly. I mean, even the backups in their offensive line are pretty good. But Northwestern surprises people. And they do. They're the best shot. They're going to give them the best shot of anybody on the day. That's for sure.
Probably, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Probably not. Oklahoma and Iowa State. What do you see about that?
That's going to be a good one. Hang on to your hat because that thing's going to end up about 44-41. Whoever has the ball last, as they say, is going to win that ball game. That's going to be up and down. I don't think. Iowa State might think that they have a defense, but I think it's going to be run and shoot. This is going to be 80 points. I don't know what the over/under is in Vegas, but if it's under 75, I'd be betting my brains out to make some money on that because that's going to
be a lot of points.
Yes.
And then we got Louisiana and Coastal Carolina. We've spoken of them. It's at 3:00 that afternoon. Clemson and Notre Dame. Now tell me how you really feel.
Clemson wins that thing by 2 touchdowns. That's how I really feel about it. The whole fact that this is a full complement, and I mean by quarterback, I mean full complement at the quarterback. I don't see Clemson losing this game. Clemson moves up to 2. Alabama stays 1 after they manhandle Florida. Florida might make that closer than I'm willing to give. But Alabama will be 1, Clemson will be 2. And then it's going to be how badly does Ohio State thump Northwestern? Does that give them a chance to move to 3? And if Notre Dame loses like I think, do they only drop to 4? Or does Texas A&M have something to say and say, hey, we'd like to squeeze in there and whatever else? So that the loser of the Clemson-Notre Dame game has to keep it close, or the boys are going to drop them to 5 and give Texas A&M a chance, I believe. But who knows?
Well, I just want to just remember, you can remember this: the quarterback that took over Lawrence's spot passed for 440 yards, and and I don't know if Trevor can do better than that. I suppose he probably could. That would be interesting to see. And, of course, all that depends on a very fine defensive line that Notre Dame has, whether they can piece it together. They played a really good game against Clemson the last time. And the other one is Ian Books. I think he's a great determiner there. He's an outstanding quarterback. He sees things and does things that are as good as any of the rest of those guys. So I'm really looking for a good game. I'm trying to wonder how I can watch 3 games at once, and that's going to be the key there. At 7 o'clock that night, we got Tulsa and Cincinnati. And Cincinnati, they're looking for a little respect.
Yeah.
Later that night, Alabama and Florida. Florida's licking their wounds right now, and they were embarrassed last week. And they don't.
Yeah, I think they were looking forward. They looked past LSU, and they paid the price.
Oh yeah, LSU and those teams, they're so chock full of talent. If they can even keep you close, they might be able to beat you, and that's the way that works. And then late at night, right about the time my eyes are bleeding, Boise State and San Jose State are going to go at it, and that's going to be a pretty good ball game too.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that one was on late. I'm like, nope, that won't be in the dossier of games for Tim. That's too much. No Michigan and Iowa this week. That got
no Michigan and Iowa.
No Indiana, Purdue.
No Indiana, Purdue.
Michigan's 2-4. Harbaugh doesn't keep his job, right?
He's going to keep his job. Yeah.
He's going to.
I think he will.
Holy, wow.
I think they pay him too much, and all of a sudden they can't keep 2 fat contracts on the line.
That's a possibility. Okay, and we've got to get to this.
Yes.
The Big Ten capitulated this week, and they weren't gonna let these games go on. You had to play 6 to play in the championship. They blah blah. They sold themselves out for money over the last 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, they've sold themselves up for money the whole season.
Did they make the right? Well, that's true. Did they make the right choice in letting the Gophers play Wisconsin?
I think so.
Okay.
I think the teams wanted to do it, and in fact, I heard some grumblings from you a couple of weeks ago about why they wouldn't allow it to do it because they weren't going to. But I think it's an all right. Everybody is doing makeup games. Army's playing Air Force this weekend. Usually, when they got done playing Navy, there were no more college football games anywhere till after Christmas. And so, there's just some things that are going to happen here. The argument about whether or not Ohio State should be in the game is a legitimate one. There's no 2 ways about it. Everybody knew the rules. On the other hand, these are exceptional times. And if the whole idea behind bracketing and everything is getting the best team out of that, I think Ohio State is the best team. I'd love to see somebody beat them, and they can be beaten. We know that. All teams can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Governor Walz came out yesterday and told everybody they can restart practicing on January 4th. I think that got some coaches excited, some kids excited. So they didn't say anything about getting games started, though. That's another. I think they just want to see how Christmas goes, and I think that's prudent, the right choice. So we'll see. But I have a feeling that on January 19th, I'm going to be sitting somewhere watching the Broncos play hockey and or basketball on that night. So I'm going to say Tuesday, January 19th, I'm going to tell my wife, don't plan anything because Tim's probably going to be somewhere watching a game.
Oh, I'm certainly hopeful that that's going to happen, and they get these vaccines out. And as soon as they do that, I'll be right with you. I've been telling people I've been taking shots all my life, and they tell me it's not the same, George. But I'll tell you, I got a T-shirt. I got a T-shirt from a friend of mine today, and this is
wow. Look at that, dandy.
The Gophers wrestling shirt, and I just want to mention my friend Gable. He is right now training like a dirty dog for the Olympics. Now the Gophers, I think they start on the 6th as well, or the 9th, or somewhere in the first week in January, and they're going to try to bring. I don't know what they're going to do in terms of they don't. I mean, this is a day-to-day operation for all these sports. But I'm looking forward to watching a little collegiate wrestling. I think that'd be just fine. That would be
really fun. Hey, you got to talk about Tuffy. Did you hear about Tuffy from Grand Rapids?
Tuffy Horde.
Yeah.
No. What happened to Tuffy? Good friend of mine.
He hung it up this week.
He hung it
up. I saw something. He said enough's enough. 56 years is enough.
He was a year ahead of me in school. And he graduated in '66, and even at that time, he was hanging around, except when he got his butt drafted and sent to Vietnam. But Tuffy Horde, they didn't call him Tuffy for nothing. The Hordes, the whole family was totally obsessed and addicted to wrestling. This is what they lived for. There was cousins and nephews and sons, and there were all kinds of hordes. And they, what's that? He's a horde. He was born to wrestle. Tuffy was born to wrestle as well, and they're going to miss him a lot in Grand Rapids. But I'll tell you what, I'll guarantee you this: every time Grand Rapids wrestles, he'll be in the audience.
He'll be there, yeah.
He'll be there, yeah.
Well, you'll be online. I know after we get off of this show, you'll be looking up about Tuffy and what was said and the things that were said about him and everything else. So.
And the other thing, I got my friend Jeff Olson, the editor over at Roseau, and he likes to write about wrestlers, and he was one. He'll be calling me up and telling me what do you remember about Tuffy?
Sure.
And so this is the changing of the guard, and Danny's gone, and Tuffy was his boy. And frankly, it's not that he didn't get along with the other coach and stuff, but he and Jinxie were so close, it probably wasn't the same. And besides, he's 73 years old. I remember wrestling at 41. It almost killed me.
Yeah. So, what else we got left to finish up? We got to be getting close to the end.
We've got to be getting close to the end. Let's see. I'm going through my stuff. I want to bring up one thing, and this is, I'm kind of a little bit into history, and yesterday was the 75th anniversary of the Battle of the Bulge.
Wow.
December 16th, Germany crossed over the border with 24 divisions, and there were 600,000 Americans involved in that battle over the course of the next 6 weeks. And I bring this up solely because we're walking around here thinking about 3,000 dead people every day in this country. At the time of the Bulge, they were getting 1,800 men a day killed, and the country went almost bananas. In fact, they kept these numbers away from the population for a long time because they just knew that they would be crazy. Where right now we're doing twice that many. And on the other hand, yesterday I do commemorate on December 16th the Battle of the Bulge. Knew a lot of guys that were in it. Other than that, I don't have an obituary. Maybe you do.
We made it through one without real. There was a one or two that we maybe wanted to bring up, but I thought, you know what?
That's
it's
okay.
Christmas.
It's Christmas time. It's Christmas time. I got my cup, and I'm going to go get another Tom and Jerry, and it says right on there, I am Norwegian by marriage.
Did you buy your wife one that says she's Ukrainian or whatever by marriage?
No. She would never use it.
Well, I just want to take.
She's got a cup that says, I'm Norwegian, and I'm a genius too.
She is.
Yeah.
She is.
Yeah.
I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas.
You got things to do next week, and the whole crew is there.
Well, we we're going to keep things kind of low profile because we're all trying to do. We've got a little issue with the virus, and so we need to maintain low profile. So we will do that. But I want.
It was quite a picture. It was quite a picture you sent out of that family. It's amazing what one determined man and a young woman can do.
Good that we were able to get that picture before all heck broke loose. So yes, it would be nice. It will be nice when we're all able to get together at some point, and we definitely look forward to that. And like I said, we're not going to have another show before Christmas, but we will have a show between Christmas and New Year, so we can wish everybody a happy New Year. But stay safe. I know everybody wants to see their family, but let's make sure we get to see our families for a long time to come in the future.
Hey, I got to tell you, there's all our friends that say we watch the show, we like the show, and they says, why? You're having fun, aren't you? And a couple of these retirees, I've got to get a project like that. Yeah, not everybody can be a celebrity. It's tough.
Find a project. That's what it's all about.
Find a project. Listen, folks, please keep your mask on, stay safe, and we'll see you in just a few days.
Thanks, George. Have a good one.
Bye, bud.